and this here may be tough to you. Snack cake to me, yeah, more hostess. This been overdue forever. Asked me when it was dropping, said never. Should've made you cut the feta, but I designed it Freemason Margiela.
What's good, Shellitronnn here, the most woke, no joking. I'm back at it again with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bo-Berry Biscuit, man. Of the 4 teams in the NFC South, I really think that the Falcons are the hardest team to actually do a prediction series for, because look, a lot of times the Falcons do well, and their roster is obviously stacked top to bottom, but we've seen the Falcons with a really great roster underperform a couple times. Like last year, we can say that 10-6 was probably an underperformance in the eyes of a lot of people, because if I remember correctly, it was actually the last game of the season last year that actually propelled them into the playoffs. And you would have thought that a team that had those kind of weapons on offense and defense would have been, you know, able to get into the playoffs, get a berth a little bit earlier than that. And they ended up 10-6 and ended up, I'm not going to say anything too much about this, but the Panthers roster was worse, I think, objectively, than the Falcons, and they probably should have had a better record. It was only one game, but when you think about it like that, I think that the Falcons sometimes play down to their opponent's skills, kind of like the Steelers a little bit. So it's kind of hard to really get a real hold on what they're going to do. The real thing is Steve Sarkisian, and this is what I have to go by. I can't just blindly say Steve Sarkisian's going to change his way like a snap of the finger, and his play calls are going to get magically better, and it's going to be like all of a sudden like just a much better scheme. All of a sudden, this guy was running bubble screens on 3rd and 11. I saw him run that end around on the goal line. Like, it's kind of tough when you think about it like that. They have too much talent on this team for Julio Jones to only have 3 touchdowns last year. So with that said, we could see some improvement, but it could go either way as well. Let's get to these games. First game, they have the Eagles. It's on Thursday night. It's a really good way to start off the season. I mean, that's probably the best matchup I could think of to start the season off. Maybe Vikings, Packers. But either way, I think that this is a great way to start the season off. Falcons and Eagles. And you can see in my video I dropped, I think yesterday, I have the Falcons winning this game. It's going to be a tough one, but I think the Falcons are a little bit hungrier than the Eagles coming off that Super Bowl win. Now, I don't think the Eagles are going to have a Super Bowl slump, but I do think the Falcons come out a little hotter and a little more hungry, and they win this game prime time on Thursday in Philly. It'll be a heartbreaker, but they win this one. Second game versus the Panthers. This is in Atlanta. Look, I'm going to be real with you. It's kind of hard for the Panthers to win in Atlanta. All these teams in the NFC South really protect their home field very, very well. I mean, the Bucs, we can talk about it. But the other 3 teams in the NFC South really do protect their home field. And I think this is going to be a game that the Falcons do pick up again. Start off the season 2-0. Next game versus the Saints in Atlanta. Now, I just said what I just said, but this one is a little bit different when you have the Saints coming in. I don't think the Falcons have the secondary to hold up to Drew Brees. I just don't see it happen. I don't see Michael Thomas getting stopped. I don't see Alvin Kamara getting stopped underneath. There's only so many people that Deion Jones can cover. Deion Jones is a pretty good coverage linebacker. I won't lie to you. Didn't he have that game-ending pick in the end zone against the Saints last year? I think it was against the Saints last year. But look, I'm going to be real with you. He can only cover so much underneath, and the Saints have so many weapons down there. I think the Saints win this game. The Falcons go down 2-1. Falcons at home versus the Bengals. This is a little bit of a sweet one. I don't want to say too sweet, but we all know Andy Dalton is only moderately good. But for the most part, I think the Falcons have a really easy time with this one. The run game might get stuffed. The Bengals have a really good linebacker core. We know Vontez is out for this first, 4 games? This is the 4th game. But I do think that the Bengals are going to be a tough matchup, but not tough enough to beat the Falcons. Falcons win this game. They're at 3-1. The next game is on the 7th versus the Steelers. Now look, the Steelers are going to play up and down to their opponent's strengths. So like if it's a worse team, they'll play down a little bit worse. They almost lost to the Browns twice last year. Keep that in mind. But I think Big Ben wants to really set the record straight and say, look guys, I'm not mediocre. He had that 5 interception game last year. He was kind of up and down sometimes. And if you're Big Ben and you have weapons of the highest caliber, when you have AB and Le'Veon Bell and Juju Smith-Schuster all around you, you really have no excuses. And he really wants to make sure that in this offseason, when he pump fakes his retirement one more time. He wants people to care. Because if you have a bad season and you pump fake your retirement, no one's going to really care too much. So he wants to make sure that ESPN and all these other places actually write stories about him pump faking his retirement. He'll be back again after next year. But he wants to still put that news out there. And people only care if you do well. And he'll do well this game. Falcons lose this game to go to 3-2. Now we have the Bucs in Week 6 in Atlanta. What more can I say? I think Jameis Winston's back for this game. And Jameis Winston, don't sleep on him. Do not sleep on him. He actually has some really good throws. Mike Evans there, Sean Jackson. There's a lot of good things there. Their front seven is stacked. But I don't think it's enough to beat the Falcons. The Falcons win this game. It'll be a close one. It'll be close and it'll be exciting. There's explosive plays on both sides of the ball in this game. But I do say this one's going to be going to the Falcons. They end up 4-2. Then the Falcons have the Giants in a Monday Night Football game, prime time in Atlanta. Look, this is going to be a really, really good game. Is Saquon Barkley going ahead and having the season that everyone's thinking he's going to have? Does he have a head of steam going on here? Has he established himself as the bell cow who cannot be stopped? How is OBJ doing? Has he proved that this contract he just got, making him the richest guy as a receiver? Has he proved that he deserves it and he's earned it? Is Evan Ingram doing his thing at the tight end spot? I think this is going to definitely be about this offense in this game. Two high-powered offenses. The Giants' defense is decent. I can't even call them great. They're decent, but I think that this Giants' offense at this point against the Falcons right here in prime time, probably coming to Atlanta and sneak one out. Really, really close. I couldn't even call it, honestly. But I think this is a field goal game, and the Giants win this game in a shocker. After the Giants game, they have a bye. So the next week after that, they go into Washington versus the Redskins. Now, this is a decent team, decent quarterback, decent weapons, an all-right defense, but there's too many decent spots. And when you have the Falcons at your spot, you really need to play great. You have to play great. I don't believe in Jay Gruden as a coach. I don't believe in the Redskins as a front office. This is going to be probably a rout. I see this going a high-scoring game, one-sided high-scoring game. Falcons get this win. The next game is on the 11th versus the Browns. Now, I will say this. Browns win this game. Browns win this game. By this point, we're going to be seeing Baker Mayfield. Josh Gordon's out there. Jarvis Landry's out there. The run game is moving. I mean, there's just too much going on in this game. The Browns are going to be a sneaky team that beats a lot of good teams. They'll lose to some bad teams. 6 or 7 games is very doable. I got to say that right now, man. With Josh Gordon on your team, he is the second most dominant offensive player outside of quarterbacks. And the only other player who's better than him, who's more dominant, is Gronk. The Falcons probably dropped this game in another shocker. Next game versus the Cowboys. This is a quick and easy little win here. The Cowboys are on the downswing. They have guys who keep getting injured, who keep getting suspended, who can't stay on the field. And then at this point in the season, I don't wish injury or pain or any of that kind of stuff on anybody, on any athlete especially. But at this point in the season, this is on the 18th of November. We already know what it is, man. Sean Lee is not playing in this game. And if Sean Lee's on the defense and you have Dak Prescott throwing the ball for your team, ain't much you can do. Pack the box. Make sure that Ezekiel Elliott cannot get the thing moving and put the ball in Dak's hands and watch what happens. Stop the run. Bring pressure. Make Dak make decisions and be the guy to win the game. See how that works for you. See how that works for you. This is a quick little win for the Falcons here. Next game is a Thursday night game, I believe it is. Thursday night game on the 22nd versus the Saints in New Orleans. And I gotta say, Drew Brees is just too tough. He's just way too tough. He's getting into his form right now. He's getting in his bag. And he wants to prove that he can get another ring. And this is probably the Saints' window. This is going to be a tough game. But I really do believe the Saints sweep the Falcons this year. The next game is on the 2nd of December versus the Ravens. The Ravens are all right. They have a good defense. It really depends on, is Joe Flacco still playing this late in the season? I don't believe so. So the next question is it Lamar Jackson? Is it RG3? I think Lamar Jackson looked all right, but he's kind of green still. I don't like him too much playing this season. I think everyone was like, oh man, Lamar Jackson, he's the next Vic. I think you don't want to really rush these rookies into these games like this, destroy their confidence. I don't think the Ravens are good enough this year to really have a good push. I don't want him to get into this season with this mediocre team and do poorly. I think the Ravens lose this game more than the Falcons win it. It's just a bad situation. A quick little win for the Falcons. Next game is versus the Packers. This is Aaron Rodgers. Barring him being injured, I mean, he's at Lambeau. in December, it's cold out there. You're playing in Atlanta, you're all good. But in the cold at Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers, who missed the playoffs last year after losing to the Panthers. I mean, we did a little something to him. I really think that Aaron Rodgers is on a tear this year. He wants to prove, I'm back in this, and I know I only won a Super Bowl 8 years ago. Quit putting that on my name. I'm going to the playoffs again this year, and they want to make sure this is about their window as well. The Packers are in that kind of range where, you know, the window is kind of closing a little bit. You just signed Aaron Rodgers to a deal. He's making his money again. Look, you want to make sure that he gets a ring, or you're kind of a failure, honestly. That's how it feels. It's going to be an underachievement for Aaron Rodgers to not get a second ring. I think the Falcons lose this game to a very motivated Packers team. Next game versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals are old. They're not relevant. They're going to lose this game. It's not really much to talk about here. It's kind of done. Now, the next game on the 23rd in Charlotte versus the Panthers. This is a game that people might have a certain feeling or whatever, but this is a game where the two teams split. Panthers win this game in late fashion. This is going to be a really good game, but late it gets out of hand. Last game of the season at Buccaneers on the 30th, right before New Year's Eve. Hey, New Year's present for you guys. Quick, easy win in Tampa Bay. Go to Busch Gardens. Go to Adventure Island, wherever it is you want to go to after the game. It's going to be cold, but it'll still be fun after you get that win. Anything's fun after a win. Falcons win this game. I think the Falcons end up 9-7 if my math is correct here, and they just might miss the playoffs this year. But what are your thoughts on this record prediction, man? Let me know in the comments below, and you already know what to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Being told y'all I been the man. Being told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.